Hello, TopFanRivalry followers, and welcome to another edition of Unraveling the Red Sox. It's that time where we unravel the Red Sox Yankees series because that was this weekend. So, Mike, in the words of Phil from Duck Dynasty, you're probably happy, happy, happy tonight, right?
It is like Christmas morning.
Christmas morning in July.
It's like Christmas morning here, Bill. I'll tell you, it's hot, 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 and I'm not talking about the weather.
Yeah. So talk to me about it. You guys are 5-1 this month, but
Yeah.
forget everything that you've done this month. Let's talk about this series. So you guys get a very unexpected win on Friday.
Oh my gosh. Normally we record our show on Friday and like we pushed it off for a couple of days so that we could kind of recap the entirety of the series. And as soon as I was like, hey, why don't we push it back to Sunday? Masataka Yoshida comes up and hits a two-run bomb with one strike to go in the top of the ninth inning to tie the game. And then it was the 4th of July weekend, so we were out watching the fireworks, which is also part of the reason that we pushed the podcast back a little bit. But man, like I was in the car with my wife and my daughter, and they were wondering what I was getting so excited about. And
Yeah.
I was certainly not expecting Yoshida to be the one to come up and hit a 405 foot bomb into the second deck at Yankee Stadium. What the drama, man. I'm telling you, like it's good to be on the right side of it because there's been so many times in my lifetime in the Yankees Red Sox series that we've not been on the right side of it. And like when you're on the right side of it, it is just so good.
Feels right. And so then Saturday, you guys kind of sort of took the day off a little bit.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean a little bit, I mean they started off pretty good. We took care of Chef G as usual, like we I he has like a around a 2.5 ERA against the entirety of the major league, except for the Red Sox, where he has like a 5.15 ERA. So the Red Sox just seem to have Garrett Cole's numbers. So like, even though and it happens every time, those kind of splits like that's kind of crazy.
yeah.
Like, even though you respect Garrett Cole for who he is as a pitcher and what his body of work is, like it's just like every time they get to him and Raffy Devers just completely owns Garrett Cole also. So
Yeah.
there were some positive things that to start off that game. And then of course we got into our completely, used up, beaten down bullpen, and the floodgates just kind of opened for the Yankees. And I heard our friend Joe Castiglione call call Ben Rice the Cohasset Kid about 700 times during that
Yeah.
broadcast.
Listen, that kid had a good game. That'll be something he'll remember for the rest of his life.
Oh, it sure will. It sure will. But
I mean, you
you know,
can't argue the fact that the kid did it in the historic rivalry inside of the
that's
Bronx,
right.
right?
That's right. The first time in history that a Yankees rookie has hit 3 home runs in a game. So, like he can always hang his hat on that too. So the
But he,
2024 season is his excuse me is a historic season, to say the least. There's just so many things that are going on. I mean, every season writes its footnotes into the history books, but it just seems like there's something every day, with this team especially too. So it's been a fun and exciting brand.
well, it's unique this year because with you and I co-hosting the show this year, it's been fun to watch every time I see different teams come up, and I'm always watching Red Sox scores now and seeing different things, and it's a lot of fun to me. And I'm not gonna lie to you. Uh, I was watching the game on Friday night, and I thought, maybe because Mike's been talking about this and talking about, well, now we're going to get tested. Let's see what happens. And then I turned the game off because I had some family commitments. And then I looked at the scoreboard and it's 5-3. And I said, how'd that happen? So I went and read about it. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And then Saturday we were out to lunch when the game was on, and we walked into this place that was 14-4. And I said, well, they just had a day off. And then
Yeah,
tonight
right.
they said, hold our Coke here.
Yep.
Um, put some ice in it and hold it for a second for us. We're not gonna let you score today.
Seventh inning, Yeah.
Yeah.
0-0. You got Louis Heel, who has like a he started off the season great, but he's been, the drizzling, what's for his last 5 or 6 starts
Yep.
against Carter Crawford, who's, like been up and down and solid for us, but you don't expect a 0-0 game, through the starters. And then, you know, Raffy Danvers is going to just come up and hit home runs and watch them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, so it was a great win. You had 2 solo home runs from Devers. You had a home run from Rafaela. Man, is that kid on fire in the 9 spot? 50, 50 RBIs, 2 home runs in this series, 2 big home runs in this series. Like he's man, there's a lot of contenders for rookie of the year this season, and you have to have Devers or Raphael in that conversation for sure.
You have to 100%. I mean, he's playing a lot of good baseball.
Uh,
Um, and
he's like almost like the new Mookie. He plays outfield, he plays infield. He hits the ball all over the place. It almost makes us say Mookie who.
not yet, not yet. Maybe three or
Almost,
four more
almost.
seasons of this,
Yeah, well,
and
he's
then you can say
projected.
Mookie who.
So he's projected to be a big, a guy that's here to stay. So that's why they already signed him to a big contract. Nice extension, and he's going to be on this team for a while. It seems to be kind of the formula up here right now. Finding a strong nucleus for your team and then locking them up, for a solid chunk of years to really make, a solid run each and every season. So, it's been a fun ride so far, and I don't think it's slowing down. I don't think it's going anywhere this year.
No,
I think
and
that
go ahead. I'm sorry.
they're in it. No, yeah,
Yeah,
no, I'm just
yeah. At the beginning of the season, I
they're in it.
thought I thought Yankees for sure, Baltimore for sure, Boston a fair shot, right? And I
Yeah,
didn't think
yeah,
Toronto
definitely.
or Tampa Bay were going to do much of
No,
anything. And as the season started, I I didn't feel like I was right. But now we're coming up on the middle of July, and I'm looking and I'm thinking, yeah, we're pretty much nailing this.
yeah, I
We're,
mean, after probably the first 5 or 6 weeks of the season, since then it's been steamrolling pretty
steamrolling.
much. Pretty much. I mean, I think there were some things that they dealt with, like Story going down what game 2 or game 3, sorry, game 4 or 5 of the season,
Yeah.
right? He made it out of Seattle. He didn't make it out of LA.
Yep.
Uh
Anaheim, not
Anaheim,
LA. Don't
whatever,
say LA.
Orange County. you know,
Hmm.
he didn't
So
make it out of California. And I think that the team had a little bit of an adjustment period for that. Las Casas that took an adjustment period. Bayo and O'Neill went down for a little bit, so they overcame some injuries and they played through it. And some guys went through their growing pains. Rafaela, David Hamilton, and now these guys are huge contributors to this team. And we'll see how it continues to go, but the way they're playing, they're ready to go. I mean, at the beginning of the season, like what did we said? Uh, today they announced the All-Star team. Like
Hmm.
maybe they have to just throw Devers into the All-Star game because every team needs to have a representative, right?
Yep.
And like now you have the potential starter for the AL made it the hottest, leadoff man in baseball in Jaron Duran. And of course Devers, who totally deserves to be there this season. Uh,
Yep.
so
Jaron Duran.
it's
Yeah.
great to see so lowly for the past number of seasons. Uh, and sorry to everybody who teams have really been lowly for a long time, but like 4 or 5 years for this team is a
Sorry
long
about that,
time.
everybody.
Yeah, right.
Speaking of the All-Star,
My apologies to those who have been decades without good teams. But 5 or 6 years, uh, kind of treading water at the bottom of the barrel.
yeah.
It's really nice to see this brand of baseball coming back to Fenway.
So
It's almost must see, which is the best.
almost. So so going from there and talking about that, um, speaking of the All-Stars, do you know which two teams have the most All-Star selections?
Philly, I know leads the way. I think they had 7.
Right.
Uh, but I didn't look too much into it quite yet. But probably the Dodgers.
So Philly has one, two, three, four. I'm sorry. They have one, two, one, two, three, four, five, six, seven. You're right, 7.
Yep.
And then behind that is the Dodgers with 6.
Yep. So,
Um,
yep.
yep, 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 yep. Just
this is
shout out
your
to Philly, shout out to LA.
this is your weekly Dodger plug in the middle of the Red Sox show.
I'll be here till Wednesday, tip the waitress. Um, but to your point though, you have guys actually what was interesting to this was it Detroit? Yeah, Detroit had I was surprised that they only had one representative. I thought they could have had possibly another one. Actually, they have two. They have Schoolball and Riley Green.
All right.
So
Yep. That's two guys that deserve to be on the All-Star team.
Oakland has your quintessential one, right? In Miller.
Oh
That
yeah. Yep.
that kid throws
Totally.
200 miles an hour.
Yep.
So, but yeah, no, it's okay. So forget the All Stars for a second. Let's talk as we wrap this up. And everybody knows, listen, it's not just the drop in, the Dodger drop in. It's listen, we have a schedule, but we kind of go like this or like this every week. It's okay. That's what we do on this show. That's why we're loved, or that's why people
Yeah.
listen to us for 45 seconds and then say, yeah, we've had enough of these guys, right? We got a Red Sox fan wearing a Diamondbacks hat. It gets confusing with people. So
I could be wearing any hat tonight. What do you mean?
there you go. There you go, except the Yankee hat.
Not a Yankee hat.
You
Never a
don't own a
Yankee hat.
Yankee hat, I hope.
No, never a Yankee hat.
Good. All right. So here's by the numbers, right? You guys are 7.5 back of Baltimore. You are
Baltimore.
even right now for the third spot in the wild card. You are a game and a half back of the Twins. You're 4.5 back of the Yankees in the wild card spot. You're a game and a half over um, Kansas City, but that's because Kansas City's played 3 more games than you have,
Yep.
and so they've got 3 more losses than you do. So talk to me about what you see this early on in July. What are you looking at? What are you looking at this and saying there's a shot, or do you think you are still on slippery ground?
You know, there's totally a shot. 100% there's a shot because they're not throwing games away. They're winning games. They're coming back. And those are the keys to continued success. They're not making the mistakes that in the past they've made. I mean, before after the San Diego season, or before
Series.
season before the San Diego series, there was talk about like, hey, like they had the same record, last season, and then look what happened, and then obviously we had the San Diego great. It wasn't a good series for them. First series that they've lost, and uh, I can't even tell you how long, right? Since late May. Um, and but then they turned it right back around, picked it back up. Obviously, they had a nice spot to pick it back up in Miami. But then you were hot for three against the Fish, and then you took that hotness, you took that hotness to the Bronx, and the Yankees might be playing subpar right now, but like they're still the Yankees, so it doesn't really matter. That they're still in second place. They're still a better care of them, 5-1 on the season. So
Yeah.
uh, you know,
Well, it's going to be the Yankees. I can't imagine the Yankees staying where they're at. They're going to pick it back up in it's just the dog days of summer. They've hit a little road bump. As a Red Sox fan, you saw it earlier this season where you guys would win two, lose three, win three, lose two, could never
yep,
really get up on this roll. And the Yankees are hitting that stride. So I like your chances. I'm going to read to your schedule for the rest of the month, and I really like your chances. A's at home for three, Kansas City at home. That's a big series for you guys. You guys need to take 2 out of 3 there.
yep,
Um, then you go out west and you take on the three with the 2024 world champion Los Angeles Dodgers.
mm-hmm,
And then 3 with the Colorado
mm-hmm,
Rockies in Colorado. Then
mm-hmm.
you come back home and you play the Bronx Bombers and you play Seattle. Both big series because if Seattle gets overtaken by Houston, then Seattle becomes one of those wild card teams that you need to worry about.
Yeah, but Seattle is gonna. If Seattle gets overtaken by Houston, they're gonna have all the air out of their tires.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, they're only
They're
separated by 2 games.
gonna be that are getting tossed in the seafood market.
Yeah, and that's the weakest
So
division in
so
baseball.
here's also a difference, and why I think that the Red Sox are contenders and not pretenders, right?
Yeah.
Last couple of seasons, uh, you'd go play the Rockies and you get swept. This year, they're sweeping those teams.
Hmm. Yeah.
That's what they've shown that they can do. They're beating the teams that they're supposed to be beating. They're not, they might look good. They in past seasons they might look good, but they'd still lose. They'd find a way to lose. And this year they're winning, and they're taking care of the teams that they need to take care of.
So to your point, I did some math on this. The way that the current baseball works, where you play all 29 other teams, right? And you only play in your division 13 times with each team, right? So you only play 52 games inside of your division instead of what was that, 76? Instead of 76 times in your division. So you cut out 6 games with each team.
Yeah, because it used to be what 19.
19, correct. Yeah.
Yeah,
So the way that I look at this is if you play 550 ball inside of your division, and to your point, you beat the teams, you take 2 out of 3 with the teams and or sweep the teams that are rebuilding, the Rockies, the Marlins, the Angels, the teams that are struggling. If you take 2 out of 3 from them or sweep them, but you play 550 ball in your division, you can afford to play 480 ball outside of the division with every other team and still win your division.
right, right. Which means you can lose 2 out of 3 to the Padres. You can lose 2 out of 3 to the Dodgers,
That's
but
that's
you're
that's
beat
to my point. Yeah,
right.
that's to my
And then
point. So
so this. this trip after the road trip after the All-Star break, right? Three
Mhm.
against the Dodgers. Say they lose 2 out of 3 to the Dodgers. Then they go sweep the Rockies. Now they're 4-2 on that road trip.
Yeah.
And that's a winning road trip.
Mhm.
And that's what they're doing.
And that's the
So
basic things that you need to do. Those are the things that this club needs to do. Don't worry about what the Yankees are doing. Don't worry about what the Orioles are doing.
no,
Just
and
do you.
I don't think that they are. There's not nobody's thinking about. We're just focusing on the Red Sox. They're focused on the Red Sox. We're focused on the Red Sox. We're not thinking about the Yankees. We're not, as fans, we're not thinking about the Yankees or the Orioles, except for, like, oh man, like we could actually catch these guys and we could actually, like, make the playoffs this season in a year that, we really weren't supposed to. We have pieces that, uh, you know, are getting ready to come back. Uh, to help us out both in the bullpen and in the lineup. Uh, Mainly in Casas and Liam Hendricks, who's on a throwing program. Totally forgot that Liam Hendricks, got signed by the Red Sox in the offseason because he was hurt. And he's a great, he'll be a setup guy to Kenley, and like that's gonna be a shutdown lockdown 8-9. If Hendricks can be half of, return to half of what he was, before. So,
Yeah,
like
100%.
they're gonna be like they're gonna be tough. They're gonna be a tough out. I don't think nobody's gonna want to like go up against the Red Sox except for maybe Baltimore, but New York sure as hell ain't gonna want to see the Red Sox.
Were you surprised that Hauk made it onto the All-Star team?
Not at all.
Me neither. Me neither.
He's got he uh, for most of the first half of the season. I don't know where he stands right now, but for most of the first half of the season, he led the league in ERA.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I wasn't surprised. In fact, if he wasn't, we were going to do an entire segment on All-Star snubs tonight. Um, because I felt like you guys had, I mean, that was a no-brainer. Right?
Yeah,
So
2.68 ERA, 1.05 WHIP. His which is the ERA is sixth right now in the
yeah,
in the majors. So, you know, there's that, and you got guys like Zach Wheeler and Ranger Suarez who were dealing for forever. Um, his last, uh, yeah, I mean he's been great this season, and he totally deserves to be considered an all-star this season because he has been. Record aside, you know, so a bunch of his losses have been tough luck, one-run losses, or he's left the game with the lead. And it's one of those rare occasions where the bullpen has blown it. So
yeah. No, I completely
so
understand.
the snub might be Connor Wong.
uh, okay. I'm not gonna argue that just yet, but we'll see. We'll see. It's really tough
He's in
when you play
an
for a marquee
AL
team
by
like the
average.
when you play for a marquee team like the Red Sox, like we're talking about, Red Sox, Yankees, Cardinals, Dodgers, teams that are used to winning and have a history of winning, albeit the
Sure.
Cardinals have not done so awesome the last couple of seasons. But when you play for those teams, in order to make yourself a name, you've got to be really, really good.
Oh yeah, 100%. Um, but that's because you have guys. Sorry, I'm just going to take a quick peek. I mean, I'm sure that Adley is on this team, right? He 100% deserves to be, the catcher.
Yes, he's a starting catcher.
Yeah. Um, but you probably also have like Salvi on the team,
Yeah, he's the backup.
right? And like he's been solid, but Connor Wong's been better, and Salvi is there because he's Salvador Perez. So he has like a little bit of cachet,
Well,
and a little bit of more name recognition than Connor Wong. But not to say like those things happen every season. Those things happen every season. You would never think to see Jurickson Profar, on the starting roster for an all-star game.
yeah.
So
Well,
um,
there's two guys in baseball, and to your point, right? Salvi's probably a first ballot Hall of Famer, if not a second ballot Hall of Famer. So he's got a little bit of history behind him that gets him across the finish line. But there's two names that one on the starting rotation for the American League or starting lineup for the American League, and the other on the National League reserves that will probably, as long as they're healthy, probably never miss another All-Star game again. Gunnar Henderson, Ellie
yep,
De La Cruz.
yep,
As long as they're healthy, they'll probably never miss another All-Star game again.
yep, totally.
And I mean, the fact that you're looking, and I think it's actually kind of funny that Stephen Kwan is the other outfielder, because remember, he's the guy that got kicked off at the fans in the Bronx and tried to climb the wall to get the guy in the Bronx. And he's sandwiched between two Yankees. I'm like, you should be very happy that this game is being played in Arlington and not in the Bronx, because it might not go well for you. But
But I mean, I don't think anybody is as deserving as he is.
nope, exactly.
You know what? I know we've kind of turned away from you know, from the Red Sox, but please invite me to your All-Star
Yeah,
panel
we
discussion.
will.
But it's awesome, awesome, awesome to see so many firsts and
Mm-hmm.
seconds.
Yep.
Which means that the page is turning for the league, which it is. Because you've had so many big names hurt, Trout, or retire in the past couple seasons that were stalwarts. Miggy, Yachty, Pujols. Like those were names that it didn't matter if they were hitting 220 with a 670 OPS. They were making they were making the they were making the team.
Well, let's talk about Bryce Harper for a second, right? Bryce Harper was injured for the last couple of weeks, and he'll be back. He's supposed to be back tomorrow. His first eligible day back was today, I believe, but I think, or no, is tomorrow. I think he plays tomorrow, but he's been out for a little bit. Trey Turner was the second vote getter at shortstop. Who was the first vote getter at shortstop? Do you know?
For the NL.
Yep.
Well, Ellie, right?
No. First vote getter was Mookie Betts, but he's got a broken hand.
Oh, all right.
So, I mean, at the end
Right.
of the day, so, but yeah, no, we'll definitely have an all-star conversation for sure, for sure,
Does
for
it
sure.
deserve to be? There are
What's
guys
that?
that deserve to be on the All-Star team, time in and time out. And they're going to be there, and they should be there. But there are guys that make it because of their name every season.
Well,
Like
I, I love the fact that Tyler Anderson's there. Even though his record doesn't show it, he's pitching very well in Anaheim.
sure
Um,
is
he's
definitely.
just not getting the run support that he needs. He got 6 losses this season, and I think the majority of them, the Angels have scored 2 runs or less.
Yeah,
That's not
I mean
his
the
fault.
Angels are the future this year. They're like
Hmm. But
I
you
mean
got,
you have Garrett Crochet. He's like a huge
yep,
uh you know around the league, I'm sure, at for the trade deadline, because the
correct.
White Sox are so bad.
You got Miller over in Oakland.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, Mason Miller has been lights out. I love seeing, obvious like he totally deserves it. Scooble, he's been unbelievable this season. Cole Raggins, uh, that's uh a great pick also. Um, Seth Lugo, right? Here's a guy that Kansas City picked up
bounce
off of the
back.
scrap heap. I know that they picked him up off the scrap heap because, like, when he was a rookie in 2017 with the Mets, like nobody needed him or wanted him.
Bounce back 100%.
Yeah,
100%.
right.
And so what I love about this too, Mike, and what you're talking about guys, and don't forget your boy Durant, right? Riley
Yep,
Green. But what you're talking about, listen to some of these names that weren't selected to start. Okay, because the guys that started, most of them are names that are household names. Rushman,
yep.
Guerrero Jr., um, Jose Altuve, Jose, Jose, I'm gonna knock you out after you square up off me.
Isaac Paredes,
Yes. But listen to some of these ones that are
CJ
on
Abrams,
the bench.
Ryan
Carlos,
McMahon.
yeah,
Yeah,
Carlos Correa, Josh Naylor, Rafi
yep,
Devers,
yeah.
Marcus Simeon, Bobby Witt Jr. Those are guys that aren't starting. Those are guys that are on the bench. Now, granted, I could make a really good case if Rushman, or I mean, if Hendrickson wasn't having as good of a season as he is, that Bobby Miller's got 119 hits already this season.
Oh yeah. I mean, he should. I mean, you Bill. I know Bobby Witt should be at the
Yeah,
front of the line for the MVP this season because of the team that he plays on.
100%.
Because without Bobby Witt Jr. on the Royals, they would be the White Sox.
It would be. Listen on the other side of the coin. These are guys that are on the bench. Will Smith, who hit what, 4 home runs this weekend?
Yep.
Will Smith, Pete Alonso, Luis Ariz, Mookie Betts, Ellie De La Cruz, Freddie the Teeth Freeman, um, Jackson Merrill. There's another rookie for you who, by the
Yeah.
way, is really, really good. You want to talk about resurgence? I hate to say this as a Boston guy, but how about Chris Sale and his
Oh yeah.
resurgence?
Solid A, man. Yeah. Whew.
I mean, Ranger Suarez, Tyler Glass
Yep.
now. I didn't realize that this is his first All-Star selection. I mean, you've got a lot of guys here that are
Right.
here
And
for
then
the
you got guys that a lot of people have never heard of.
mhm,
I mean, David Fry, right?
mhm.
I'll be
Yeah.
honest, I didn't know who David Fry was until about 5 weeks ago.
It's ba baseball's a weird game like that, but you know what? The, and and tell me I'm wrong, but 5 years ago, well, wait a second. Yeah, 5 years ago, 2019, I think was the first year that Pete Alonso participated in the home run derby. It's either that or
Yep.
2021. Can't remember which one, if it was pre
No,
or
it
post
was
COVID.
yeah. No, it was pre-COVID.
Okay. Nobody knew who this kid was unless you were in Queens,
He
right?
actually he was in the home run derby, 2019, his
Yeah.
rookie season. Home run
So,
derby.
but nobody knew who this kid was unless you were in Queens. Then he won the home run derby and he became a household name,
Right.
right? And then he wins it the second season. He
Household
becomes
name.
a
Yep.
household name. And so some of these kids that
Yep.
people don't know about, uh, like Jackson Merrill, like some of these
Jackson
guys,
Merrill,
even Ranger
Abrams,
Suarez. What about
McMahon.
Paul?
Yep.
What? How do you pronounce his name? Um,
Skeens.
Skeens. Yeah, I mean that
Man,
kid.
if you're listening to this and you don't know Paul Skeens, you better go educate yourself because this kid is going to be a
Yes,
top of the rotation, top of the league in pitching for many, many years to come. And stripes in about 3 or 4 years.
yeah. No, no, no. He's yeah. And I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop because he's been in the league long enough now.
Uh,
But he's 5-0. His ERA, if you don't know who this kid is, you're not paying
he's a
attention to baseball.
4-year college player out of
Mhm.
LSU, number one overall pick for the Pirates in 2023. Like he is every bit what he says he's good as
Mhm.
advertised. And I'm so excited to see. I mean, Bill, invite me to the prospect show as well.
I will. Try, we're going to talk about that offline in a second. But
because
because I want to talk.
his college teenagers for the Nationals. And we'll see him later in the summer, I'm sure too. And that kid is also, uh, somebody that is going to put his mark on the game real soon. So
There's a lot of good talent, a lot of good talent that are going into the draft this season, and it'll be very interesting. How about this boy out of Wake Forest? What's his name? Barnes, the pitcher. Kid can pitch. Kid
yep.
can pitch. Didn't do so awesome in the tournament, but boy, kid can pitch, right?
Things like tournaments and stuff like that become such small sample sizes. It's like, you know, uh, like in college football, like bowl games and stuff like
Yeah,
that. Like a
yeah.
lot of the time, the top prospects in these games, like kind of take them off. They already know where their draft capital lies. So like they're not, at that point, they don't necessarily like put everything into it. If that
That's
makes,
to be honest with you, that's why I love the idea of having three wild card teams and not just one. Um, and
right.
and I'm gonna sound like a homer here, but and trust me, this is not me being a homer. But 2021, the Dodgers were in the wild card game against the Cardinals, right? The one game playoff. The Cardinals had won 84 games. The Dodgers had won 106, lost the division to the Giants, who had won 107. And all you have to do is have one bad day, and all
Yep.
106 of those wins are gone. That's
Right.
why I like
Yep.
this best out of three scenario and advancing and things of that nature, because you can have a bad day. And baseball's Mike, you and I have watched enough baseball that it's real simple, right? A ground ball to the shortstop that should be two takes a weird bounce or hits the dirt weird, goes by and a run scores, and you lose by a run on a groundskeeper's error, basically. You
Right.
know, it's just too much pressure for one game. Now, game seven, but at least when you're playing in game seven, you had six other freaking games to lock it down. If you're in game seven, that's your fault.
Right.
You you had the shot. So, anyways, well, Mike, let's do this again next week. We're going to I have a couple ideas that I want to talk to you about the show, but I think you're really, really gonna like. I want to invite a couple of guests on, but we're
I
gonna have to
love
be
that.
flexible. And
All right.
so that'll be fun. But Mike, here's the thing. So everybody at Top Fan knows that you can get access to the locker room, which gives us member discounts, gives you everything like that. Everybody knows I got the black on black Top Fan Rivalry hat right now. I've got one that's
That's
a
what
red.
I'm wearing too. That's what I'm wearing too. Black.
Yeah, black on black. But Mike, let's make sure that we don't charge everybody full price. So what do we tell them? What if they're
That's right.
listening to this and they said, "Hey, we want to get some discounts"? How do they get a discount?
That's right. You use the discount code Unraveling at checkout, and that'll give you 10% off. Not only your membership, but I think everything that
Yeah,
everything in the store. So
yeah, yeah.
there's so much great content behind that in that locker room. And if you're not there yet, you need to be there.
Bingo, bingo. All right, Mike. Well, we sure do appreciate this show. We love it. Let's do it again,
Love it. All
everybody.
right, can't wait.
All right, we'll talk soon.
All right.